Good evening and welcome to the Select Board meeting of December 8th, 2025, 6 p.m. in Room 3 of the Milford Town Hall. First item on the agenda is the signing of the warrant.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we sign the warrant, please.
I would second that, Mr. Chairman.
And that is unanimous. Next matter on the agenda is the approval of the regular session minutes of November 17, 2025.
A motion to approve the regular session minutes of the Select Board meeting of November 17, 2025.
I would second that, Mr. Chairman.
And the next item is approval of the executive session minutes of November 17, 2025.
Motion to approve executive session minutes of November 17, 2025.
And I would second that as well, Mr. Chairman.
That is unanimous. We do not have any public hearings. Next item is scheduled appointments. The first item is dealing with 140 Bar and Grill, Inc. I am going to recuse myself and not participate in that matter because I did not participate in the original license when it came before the board a couple of weeks ago. So, Mr. Walsh, if you could address that.
I will. So then, under scheduled appointments, our first is 140 Bar and Grill, common vicular wine and malt license, cordial, approval of the corrections of documents. Paul?
Yeah, Michael. Yeah, like I said, this was something that we approved on November 17th. And after review, the ABCC investigator said that there were some corrections that had to be made or something to the amended application. And it, of course, is the responsibility of us as a select board that the licenses are accurately reflect the requirements of the ABCC. So therefore, I see that this process is being done, and I'd like to make a motion, if it's okay.
The documentation.
That we approve the amendment of the common victuals license for wine and malt liquor with cordials previously granted to the 140 Bar and Grill in accordance with the ABCC's investigation and their recommendations.
And I would make that unanimous.
The next item on the agenda is Friends of the Milford up at Charles Trail concerning Dean Circle connecting path the upper Milford Charles Trail. And Reno Deluzio is with us to discuss this.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Reno.
Good evening, everybody. I'm back again.
Yeah.
Before I get started, a little bit of introduction and background. To avoid confusion, I'm going to refer you to New England Power Company and National Grid in my presentation. It should be noted that the New England Power Company is a subsidiary of National Grid USA, who's a subsidiary of National Grid UK. As a reminder, the town has a 99-year lease with the New England Power Company for the purposes of the Milford Upper Charles Trail. NEPCO has delegated the execution of matters of real estate, including leases, to National Grid. So that's where the connection is. We're going back and forth between New England Power Company and National Grid, but most of our communication is with National Grid. Okay, a brief history. There's an existing unimproved path on an undeveloped lot at the end of Eugene Circle to the New England Power Company property. The Milford Upper Charles Trail runs along this power line corridor. This path has been used probably without the property owner's permission over the years by the local residents to access the power line corridor, even before the Milford Upper Charles Trail was constructed. In 2006, the Milford Upper Charles Trail Committee began discussions with the property owner, Mr. Thomas Mainini, to obtain a permanent easement to his lot for the connection to the path. Multiple attempts were unsuccessful. Mr. Mainini finally posted no trespassing signs. So in November 2003, I was approached by Mr. Daniel Ney of 5 Eugene Circle, whose property abuts the National Grid corridor. He offered to provide the town a permanent easement to his lot to access the bike trail. I, as chairman of the former Milford Upper Charles Trail Committee, had dealt with Mr. Ney regarding a privacy fence during the Phase 2 construction of the bike trail. first question to be answered was, who would be the proponents of this project? Since the Milford Upper Charles Trail Committee no longer existed, the Friends of the Milford Upper Charles Trail, was a 501c3 nonprofit organization, decided to be the proponent. Having been chairman of the Milford Upper Charles Trail Committee and a member of the Friends since its inception, I was designated their representative. The second question to be answered was, is it feasible to conduct a ADA-compliant paved path given a 4-foot difference in elevation between Eugene Circle and the bike trail? We have unknown soil conditions on Mr. Nay's property, and Mr. Nay's requirement has a couple of significant ones. He wants minimum disturbance to his property, and he wants us to assure access to his rear yard to accommodate construction equipment for a planned homeowner's addition. Now, working with the town engineer and the highway surveyor, 3 design concepts were developed. The design option summary included in your packet identifies the 3 options. Upon review of each option, with respect to the 13 attributes, option 3 was selected. It includes a paved ramp on the National Grid segment of the path. A side issue involves a sharp drop-off on the Mainini lot along the Mainini Lane property line. Mr. Mainini was asked if he would grant the town a temporary construction easement to fill and grade on his property to facilitate path construction. He agreed, provided a 6-foot privacy fence be installed from Eugene Circle to the National Grid property. The fence will be installed within the Nay easement. The project concept is now ready to present to National Grid for their consideration. The highway surveyor informed his National Grid contact of the project. The response was that NGrid would consider reviewing the project provided a stamped plan is submitted by a registered engineer. Obviously, we cannot expend funds to develop a stamped plan if the well-defined concept is not acceptable. Our task now is to convince National Grid to make an exception to this policy and to review the concept. So now we'll get back to the particulars. Slide 1. This illustrates the existing conditions of the site. This is at the rear of Mr. Nay's property. That panel missing from his vinyl fence was blown out, and he hasn't replaced it yet. And then you'll see on the sideline heading out now toward Eugene Circle, a wooden stockade fence. Part of this project has that fence replaced with vinyl. It has to be relocated to accommodate within the easement. The town is going to accept responsibility for that fence when the project is concluded. That's another view of the rear of the property, and you can see the difference in elevation between the end of Mr. Nay's property and the bike trail. What's important in this photograph is that high tension pole. One of the requirements of National Grid when we do work, construction work on the bike trail, we cannot do any work within 50 feet of the high tension pole. So we have to meet that requirement as well.
And do you have that, Reno? The 50 feet?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to show an
All right.
overview of the layout, and we meet that requirement. I think we're 61 feet away. The next slide, slide 2. Now, this is the service area of the connecting path. You can see the connecting path at the end of Eugene Circle, that black line. And this is the outline of the subdivision in that area. It extends below what's on the screen as well. Now, the red part is the area most affected by that path. The Friends of the Trail have begun a survey of the houses in that red area, and that survey is ongoing. The results so far is, I'll get to that later. No, the results so far that there are 55 residences in that red area. 24 have been surveyed, or 44%. Number of signatures on the petition is 49, and all were in favor of the initiative. No one was opposed to it. So that's good news so far. I also have requested the town clerk to provide the population in that whole area. Now, these results are important to demonstrate to National Grid that the immediate abutters don't have any issue, and we apply for grants. They'll want to know the broader service area of the project. So that information is very good, and that's why the Friends are going to continue the survey process. Next slide. Now, in your packet, there's a page of initial conditions, and there are many of them.
Yep.
I'm just going to focus on a couple here. The first one is Mr. Nay's requirement to minimize disturbance on his property. Now, in option one, there's a retaining wall concept, which requires a 115-foot sloped, straight line path to the bike trail on Mr. Nay's property and on the Ingrid's property. It requires the excavation of approximately 110 cubic yards in suspected poor soil conditions, and recent excavation of the rear yard of National Grid for his pool revealed a number of large boulders. This also requires a costly step foundation. When you come a slope path over a long distance, stepping down now from 4-foot elevation down to less than that at the end of Nay's property. The foundation of that block wall, retaining wall, has to be stepped down. That's a pretty expensive proposition. Mr. Nay also requires rear yard access for construction equipment for a future addition, as I mentioned. The highway surveyor recommended a 12-foot wide access. Next slide. Okay, now this is not in your information packet. I have copies here. I'll give them to you if you need them. But this shows the front view of Mr. Nay's property. Now that fence is measured 10.5 feet. You can see the easement line comes inside that corner post and extends over 12 feet to Mr. Nay's property. So now if we take that fence out and replace it with removable posts, which is feasible, you have a system where you put a sleeve in the ground and post slides into sleeve. Then when the construction equipment has to get and remove that first side panel, just the first panel, now the construction equipment will have a full 12-foot width to get from Eugene Circle to the backyard. So that front fence has to be removable, and the corner post, when you take that out, the slats in the slide panel come right out. So that's an easy solution. If we had to go with the straight line option one path that I mentioned earlier, we could not satisfy that requirement because now we have this retaining wall for about 65 feet in this direction that has to be protected. We can do that, but we require Jersey barriers and filling it with gravel,
you gotta put it
so
back.
you can get that 12 feet clear entrance. So that's why option one was disbanded. The primary reason is we could not meet the requirement of Mr. Nay's minimum disturbance. The next one, next slide. No, not that one, hang on. Oh no, let's back up. The ADA requirements. I don't have a slide for that. We do meet all the options, met all the ADA requirements. However, we have experience on two sections of the bike trail. One behind the Milford Water Department, coming up to 495 interchange, and beyond that behind the Big Y, where the slopes are just under 5%, and are not favored by walkers. In fact, upon a recommendation by the Milford Commission on Disabilities, in the section that goes from Hayward Street to Veterans Memorial Drive, that's behind the big Y, they recommended 2 resting areas with benches. That's nowhere near the 65 feet that we have here. So, our design goal now is to keep the slope of this path under 3% in both the Nave segment and the National Grid segment. Okay, now I guess we can go to slide 5.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, now this is an overview of what I try to describe. You can see from Eugene Circle, we head off into the National Grid right away, and then we take a left-hand turn and then a right-hand turn. That's what I refer to as the paved ramp. There are many trail projects around the country that use this technique. The sideline, I've been visiting my daughter in Dallas, Texas, and she has a significant bike trail and a path parked next to her. And I was on that, taking pictures as an example, and happened to meet a rough walker coming up, carrying a cane and not using it. I said, "How do you like this?" And that's a quarter of a mile ramp. He said, "It's nice, but I wish it was less steep." And I went on Google and calculated that slope was like 4%.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the idea is we're going to keep it under 3%. If we have to wiggle around that ramp a little bit with National Grid, you can shrink it a bit, and then as you do, the slope gets steeper and steeper.
Right.
So this design gives us a 2% slope. And there'll be some error in construction, so it gives us a little margin. But the main issue is, will National Grid accept that much construction on their right-of-way? So that's what's going to be the sticking point in all this. The next slide, 6. Now that's the concept. Now you can see this concept is pretty well defined. I mean, there's more behind it. We have cross sections, we have estimates of cut and fill excavations, and all sorts of good side data. So all the slopes are plotted. So it's almost a buildable plan. If you had a reasonable contractor, you could probably take this plan with the cross sections we have, build it. But we have to provide a certified plan in order for National Grid to approve it.
Okay.
And the last slide is, so that's an example of a paved ramp that happens to be at Volante's Farm in Needham. I happened to be there, my daughter was in Needham, and I took that picture. It'll be similar to that. Up at the top, we're coming off of the store at Volante's Farm. It goes out towards the greenhouse and then takes a left down to a lower pavement. So basically, that's what we're talking about. I didn't include the Dallas one in because that's in a class by itself. Now, the last point I want to make out is the issue of cost and funding. You'll see in your handout, I have a listing of potential funding sources for design and construction in the order of priority. One of them is the legislative earmark. We were awarded a legislative earmark for the Walden Woods connection that Representative Murray presented on the Trail Committee's behalf. Then there's a Mass Trails grant, which is an 80-20 state and local share. That one is a long shot because they're looking for projects that accumulate larger regional kinds of connections that are not yet developed. Put more trail connections together in a bigger package. You'll want something up to $500,000 or more. But we're still going to try to make a case why this is favored by significant population. They should be awarded. But again, like these state grants, they're very competitive, but that's on the list. And then there's private funds we're counting on. I have also already one verbal commitment of $10,000 for the project. Hopefully that'll stick when we get to the details of it, but as so far that looks promising. Then, of course, finally, your town appropriation. My guess is that it'll be like the bike trail, there'll be a combination of some of these things. We put the funding together somehow and come up with it.
Okay.
Yes, let me see if I have anything before I ask you a question. No, I don't. I think that's all I have for now. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to entertain them.
Well, yeah, thanks. Thank you for the time that you came here and whatnot and bringing this initiative before us. And I do know how popular that access is because I know when Mr. Mainini, did come to us a couple of years ago, and I guess he needed some certain things done to his property and whatnot, and we couldn't accommodate him with that, with his request. So what he did is he put the no trespassing signs up that you mentioned in your proposal here. And I know the neighbors were very upset at that as well, asking the selectmen if we could do anything about it. And I know we have no control over private property and, more or less ordering somebody to make their property accessible if they don't want to, So I guess this is very good, and it would be very popular to that neighborhood because, again, the amount of individuals that were using that at the time was pretty significant. That's why you're getting all those signatures as well. The only thing that I was going to mention, too, is I know you mentioned that Mr. Ney, and again, thank you to Danny and Janet for offering that proposal to the town as well. But to repeat myself, it would be the towns. And what happened, I know that neighborhood is a private neighborhood. I mean, it's, even though it's a public way, but it's a very secluded neighborhood off of the highway. And, when you have something like this and it is popular, you're going to get other people coming in. And that may cause, traffic problems, parking problems, and certain things like that. And I know Mr. Ney was saying he doesn't want to be disturbed. He just might, you know what I mean? Because this is going to happen. If it's popular and word gets out, that people are, if this is an access to this particular area, certain people are going to come, and again, it'll be a town project, so it's not that the people in that neighborhood can kick them out. You understand?
Yes.
So that's something that they should understand too, is well. And the other question I had was funding, and like I said, that's something that you're working on. It'll probably be a continuous work in progress for you to get, to see with these other individuals, such as the earmark and the grant and private funds and the town appropriation as well. But again, that's something that we'll have to keep our eye on as well.
Yeah.
And like I says, what you would want from us is more or less the approval to continue with this initiative, is right?
Yeah, that's my final remark. But let me try to address some of your concerns.
Mm-hmm.
We had a similar problem of neighbors on Venice Street. Venice Street is a dead end to the National Grid right away. In fact, there's an iron gate there. And they were concerned about, because we had numerous public hearings on Milford Upper Charles Trail, taking each section individually, you don't want everybody in the room at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And they were concerned exactly what you were saying. So we agreed with them that we would put signs, a distance on the side streets to Venice, and if it got abused, obviously we'd have the police department, tag them.
Mm-hmm.
And they seemed to be satisfied with that. We had no objection, and so we went ahead and did all that.
Sure.
We did put the signs up.
Mm-hmm.
25 years later, we haven't
No
had any
problem.
complaints.
Good.
This site is a little bit unique because there is another parking area if people really wanted to get at this particular section, at the hotels on Beaver Street.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're not supposed to legally park there for use of the trail, but there are many spaces that are not used,
Mm-hmm.
and I see people
Yeah.
park there myself. I do too when I have to inspect certain areas. I'm not advocating that at all.
Right.
But there's another, but we would have the same public hearing when we get to that point. We have more detail and more definitive to get those residents and explain to them what we did on Venice Street.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully it'll work out the same.
Right.
So you provide them some protection in that regard.
Good. Like I said, I'm glad it's, at least it's starting to, you're on the first step at least, we're and again, it was very important to the people in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And again, it not only enhances the neighborhood, but it enhances the town, you know, where we have another access to the trail, as well as getting people out to exercise and seeing the town and whatnot. So there's a lot of, right, and there's a lot of good, there's a lot of benefits for that too as well. Thank you.
Now, the second point of what we're asking for, obviously, is for the select board to vote to support continuing the initiative. Now, in anticipation of your support, I wrote a draft motion. If you would consider, I'd like to hand that out.
Sure. Mr. Chair, is that okay?
Absolutely. It's on the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rena.
Rick, if you're listening, I can't hand you.
That's okay. Leave one for me if you could.
Okay. All right, why don't you take a minute to read it? I can read it if you want.
Huh?
Yeah.
I mean,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, please.
Reno, as I said earlier to you, is always very thorough to the point where you hand us the motion.
Well, it kind of gets confusing. I've noticed that in the past, I've had to say, come back and wait a minute.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
The first question, so obviously your recommendation or your committee's recommendation is option 3, which is the paved ramp.
Yes, the pavement, yeah.
The last
No, we're
bit.
not asking to approve the design right now, just the initiative.
But that's what you're in favor of, if I hear you properly?
Town engineer, highway surveyor, friends, yeah.
Okay. The other question I have for you, and thank you for the pictures, but I see the back of the property, but how will people from Eugene Circle actually gain access, if anything, to this area right here? Are they gonna come down their driveway, or is the paved, or whatever we decide, or you
You're
decide?
looking at the rear, Eugene Circle is at the other end of that view.
So how do they gain access to this area?
That's the issue, we got a path, and if you look at,
So there will be a path getting to this,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what I'm getting
Oh,
at.
yeah.
Okay, okay, all right.
If you look at that overview section.
Yes.
It shows that straight path from Eugene Circle, that's a sloping path, but that sloping path is only like 50 feet. That sloping path starts beyond the front gate.
Okay,
When we had the straight path right from Eugene Circle, it had to start much closer to Eugene Circle, so we could have that gradual slope down. Now that we can keep it flat, Nate's property to the back of his fence is flat at like 274. Eugene Circle's at 274.
okay.
So we can keep 274 for quite a ways now, and then when we get closer to the end, where we start to have to taper it down to 270, we're ending up at 273 at the end of that fence in the back view.
Yes,
And then the ramp takes it from 273 over to the left and down to the right, down to 270.
okay,
That's how we get this grade solved.
okay. And the only other question I have, and I'm sure they are aware of it, but I'm sure, you know, are the nays aware of the fact that this is to gain access from Eugene Circle, but how about the people that are gonna be walking up and down the bike trail that are gonna wanna go the opposite direction,
It's a two-way street.
you know, and,
No, but it's still a 2% slope all the way up.
okay, but they're aware that it's gonna be, as you just said, two-way traffic.
Yeah.
So,
You don't find many people who don't live in the neighborhood going the other, going from the trail.
okay, but just as long as they,
Yeah.
and I'm sure they do,
Yeah, they
but
could get some straight.
it isn't gonna be a one-way street.
Sure.
So, okay, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
It wouldn't be ADA compliant with a one-way street.
Right.
No, I don't want to repeat, it's already been said, I think that it's been valuable. Really appreciate you coming and jumping into this. It's been an issue for many years.
Yeah.
I know I went up and met with Mr. and Mrs. Nay, Mayani's, and, you know, the concerns on both sides, as well as the town side, you know, the way that the cul-de-sac ends, a lot of discussions. I don't know that we're gonna see a lot of people coming from other areas to utilize that path, other than the neighborhood. It's somewhat secluded up into that neighborhood. But it is used, or was used, to a great degree by the people in that particular neighborhood. So, just on their behalf, but as well as the town, just to say thank you. I'm all in favor. We have a motion,
That's
please.
a motion, please. I move the select board vote to support the Friends of Milford Upper Charles Trails Initiative to develop a connecting path from Eugene Circle to the Milford Upper Charles Trail, a segment which will be located over a pavement easement being offered by Mr. and Mrs. Daniel Ney of 5 Eugene Circle, and a segment of which will be located on New England Power Company. Property is contingent upon approval of National Grid USA.
I would second that, Mr. Chairman.
That is unanimous. And, Reno, thank you very much.
Thank you, Reno.
Thank you very much.
And Rick will provide you with a copy of the motion.
Have a good night.
Next item is Town Council Host Community Agreement, M1 Enterprises, Inc. Rick, you're going to be handling that, or just you?
Actually, John can take the lead, I'm sure, and explain it much clearer than I can.
Okay, Attorney John Fernandez.
That's a lot of pressure.
I was gonna say, that's a setup.
Yeah, for the record, John Fernandez, representing M1 Enterprises, Inc., and parenthetical on that, you formally approved HCA under the name of M1 Enterprises LLC. They went through a corporate restructure in terms of their corporate entity only, not any principals or any operation, just went from an LLC to a regular corp. That's been approved by the CCC and the Secretary of State's office. So you see it as is entitled M1 Enterprises Inc. FAA, M1 Enterprises LLC. I am joined here today, I believe, by Carl, by John, but not by me, so John Roco, Beauvier, and myself. They're the principals of the corporation. Carl comes to the business with a great deal of entrepreneurial experience. John does as well. John has experience in the cannabis industry, and the third principal is a person by the name of Matt Radaba that I know well because he was involved with Sierra in terms of the cultivation and grow operation. So this is an entity that you approved for an HCA that got licensed at the original Sierra location at 13 Commercial Way. So a couple of years ago, the decision was made, once Sierra had expanded to its maximum capacity in Milford by having 3 locations, that they actually didn't need 3 locations. So they had the smallest one, which is the 10,000 square foot original building, that they were going to divest themselves of, and they did divest themselves of that building. And these folks at M1 Enterprises are the ones who took that operation over for adult cultivation and adult production at that location. Those conversations started back in 2023. Last year, you approved an HCA, I believe, in July of 2024. They got into the building with their approval in August and started doing renovations because there was an older building that needed to be restored. They got into operation in April of this year and are actually now producing and selling products. How do we come here today? We come here today in order to get an amendment to the HCA to allow them to move into another building as well. They'll keep 13 Commercial Way, but what they want to do is take over one of the other Sierra buildings, which is the second building that was built, which is One Industrial Road. Sierra has recently gone through, or is in the process of going through a restructuring as part of a larger restructuring that's going on nationwide by their sole shareholder, which is a national corporation called AIR. With their creditors, they're going into a restructuring. It affects different states in different ways, but in Massachusetts, where Sierra had both a cultivation and production and even transportation operation, as well as their retail, 4 retail stores, the decision was made to get out of the cultivation and production business in Massachusetts and stay strictly in the cannabis retail space. So they turned their licenses back in to the Cannabis Control Commission for the 2 existing operations they had at One Industrial Road and 5 to 7 Industrial Road. The One Industrial Road is a greenhouse. I mean, it's an incredibly sophisticated greenhouse, but it's a greenhouse. Right. And it's only going to be used for cultivation, and it's only going to be used for adult cultivation. So the folks at M1 Enterprises are already seeing the opportunity to expand their business. And so being forward-thinking and seeing this building become available, which is owned by Dave Pine, their idea was, let's get in, let's make a deal for a lease on the property, which they have, and let's go see if we can get the licensing. I'm sure that we'll be able to, through the Cannabis Control Commission, to continue the operation at that location as it is today. There's no plan for a change in use, no plan for an extension of the building. They would just continue to operate in that one location in addition to 13 commercial. That has nothing to do with 5 to 7. We have no idea what's going to happen with that building ultimately. This is simply the greenhouse building, which has been an efficient, quiet, no complaint operation at that particular location. The operation, I mean, when I think about liquor licenses in these cannabis locations, the questions are usually that I would always ask when I was on the Board of Selectmen or in presenting them if we have a proper place and a proper person. And in this particular case, we have already approved this particular location in the past, so is the Cannabis Control Commission. We've already approved this particular applicant in the past, and so has the Cannabis Control Commission. There's been no complaints in their operation in the year that they've been here. They employ some almost 60 people, and at least 10 of those are Milford residents. They do look to try and hire Milford residents, and they're conscious of that. They've already become a contributor to the community in terms of looking at charitable opportunities to participate, be a player in that respect in the community. So, happy to answer any questions, but the ask tonight as a prerequisite to being able to go to the Cannabis Control Commission, their application is to have the HCA, the host community agreement, executed with your board. And for understanding that, what you have in front of you is an amendment to the prior agreement. When we first started with Sarah, and even when M1 came in, we were drafting our own host community agreements. Cannabis Control Commission finally came out with a template agreement, and their preference is that template agreement be between. So talking with Brian Murray about this, the suggestion he made was, why not take the template and use it as an amendment to our existing agreement, substituting it in for the existing agreement. So we take this and we say, okay, we're adding one industrial road to the operational approval under the host community agreement, along with 13 commercial, but we're substituting in the template for all the rest of the provisions that were in the old agreement. Brian's reviewed it, is satisfied that it meets the conditions, that it doesn't in any negative way supersede the other agreement, that it's consistent with it, but it's the template, and we know that will facilitate the work being done there. The only other thing I would mention is, under the current bylaw, when those licenses were turned back in, there was some question as to whether someone could come into town and operate, because the way the bylaw was written, when we allowed Sierra to expand from 13 commercial to go into continued enlargement and expansion of their business, it was limited to people in that zone who existed or their successors. So the good thing here, for purposes of being able to use this building, is that M1 is a successor to Sierra at 13 Commercial Way, and therefore has a right to expand into the zone. This has been confirmed by Brian. I've talked with John Erickson about it. I've talked with the planner about it. And so we're comfortable that under the current bylaw, without any changes to the bylaw or any other action being taken, that they are a successor in interest and can continue to operate and expand in that way. Happy to
Just want to ask
question.
something. John, so the only difference is with this particular host agreement to the other one is that you're adding one industrial and 13 commercial.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, 13 commercial was already in the.
It was already in there. You're already.
Remember, whatever you do in cannabis, there's a license for it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in as a cultivator under adult cultivation and as a producer. For
right.
adult cultivation.
Mm-hmm.
This adds M2 or one industrial strictly for cultivation. So
Okay.
there'll be 3 licenses at that location
Mm-hmm.
that will be reflected in the agreement. This acknowledgement of the existing licenses presupposes approval of the third license for one industrial, and when a final license is issued from the commission, you'll get notice of that.
One other question, John, if I may, Mr. Chairman. Please. If this wasn't approved, for argument's sake, one industrial road would become a vacant building.
It certainly would be.
Yeah.
Now, this is an opportunity to repurpose that in its purposeful space, in its
Exactly.
as use
What it
space.
was designed for.
Yeah, exactly, without having to.
Major
go
renovation.
through A whole bunch of bylaw changes or other actions. So this is actually a win for the community, and the building goes right back into use, and you know the use affects property taxes. And it's a win for these folks to be able to have the ability to move into a facility like that so close to their existing operation.
It's a no-brainer.
The only other thing was the change from the LLC to the corporation, which
Yeah, and
is,
that is.
that's in there as well.
Yes.
And so it's now M1 Enterprises, Inc., where it was LLC, the principles remain the same.
If I could have a motion to approve the host community agreement, M1 Enterprises, Inc., and to authorize the town administrator, Richard Valani, to sign on behalf of the select board.
Yeah, motion, Mr. Chair, to approve this and having Rick Valani sign in favor of us.
I would second that, Mr. Chairman.
That's unanimous. Thank you, John.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
As always.
Holidays to you and
Yeah,
You and
right.
your family.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Take care now.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest.
Next item on the agenda is the town administrator's report.
Mr. Chairman, I do not have one tonight. I will have one at the next meeting.
Old business, any old business, gentlemen?
No, Mr. Chair, I don't.
I do
Not have any, Mr. Chairman.
Any new business?
No, Mr. Chairman, do you?
No, I don't have
I
it.
just have one item. I wanted to inform the board and the residents of my intent to run for re-election in the April election 2026 for the select board.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
To your attention.
It'll be an honor to serve with you.
Sure will.
Look forward to it. Next item on the agenda is new business. We have HD Freedom Automotive LLC, Class 2 dealer license, and the police chief is here.
I'm here.
And did we have someone else signing in?
There should be an attorney coming in.
Rick, is there someone else signing in?
Yeah,
on this?
Attorney Kirsty Rogers was to appear via Zoom representing the applicant. There she
Yeah,
is.
she's-
Kara, I'm sorry, Kara.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can, yeah, we can.
Okay. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Kyra Rogers. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. I'm his attorney for the HD Freedom Automotive. They're applying for the dealer license. So I'm here on his behalf.
Okay. Would you like to speak to the license application, counsel?
Yes, would you like me to speak first? I didn't know if you wanted me to go first or the
Please,
chief.
you're the applicant. Is your client here?
He should be. I told him to appear and I've called him. But he should be here. He signed up earlier. So he should be somewhere here.
Yeah, they're on the Zoom.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. Yes, so to begin, again, my name is Kyra Rogers on behalf of Mr. Alexis for the Class 2 dealer application. And we both would like to thank the board for the time to present our position and also for having this meeting today. Mr. Valani told me last time you guys wanted to do it one time this month, so thank you for giving us the time today to speak with you all.
Sure.
And just to give a little background, Mr. Alexis applied. I believe that all the documents including like a surety bond, his application, his documentation to show his ability to run the business. Those documents, I believe, have been previously filed. I met with Mr. Villani and the police chief a couple of weeks ago. It's been I don't know how long it's been. I'm swamped right now, but I believe it was a couple of weeks ago. We had a conversation and we went over the Corey record. And I believe that's the first thing I would like to address. I believe that's probably the only major area of concern, as was represented to me by the chief. I'm not sure if you have a copy of the background check in front of you. If you do not, I'm sure. Well, if you do not, I'll just go. Sorry, say that again. Okay, great. So just to get to that head on, we'd like to acknowledge that there is a history of charges, and it does warrant scrutiny. This is a business, it is interacting with the public, and this is your town. So it does warrant scrutiny, and we both, my client and I both understand that this is a business dealing with money transactions and the issues of possible fraud or the issues of committing any type of crimes involving motor vehicle crimes, or we understand that. And there is on the Corey report a charge that has to do with the plates. And I spoke with the police chief about this and Mr. Villani as well. And just to go towards the facts of the case, even though it was dismissed, we'd like to let the board know that the facts surrounding that case were to do with a car he bought at auction. And there were dealer plates on the car. He was pulled over and he later found out the car that he bought was stolen. So he went to court and he got that handled within the same day. So as of right now, that case is dismissed and it should be closed. On the Corey that I received, it was not shown as closed, but my client can assure you, and we can look into the docket as well for confirmation that it was closed and dismissed. And there are some other charges as well listed that I spoke with the chief and Mr. Villani about, including a uttering charge. I believe that's a little bit beyond the 10-year scope that I was looking into. I believe it's 2014 or 2013. I'm not sure. It should be on at the second or so page. And the facts of that charge as well, Mr. Alexis was given a check for something he sold, and the person gave him a bad check, and that was handled also in rapidly short period of time, and it was also dismissed. And it was, I believe, a check for about $500. That's what my client represented to me. There's a couple other charges on there, but we'd like to just reiterate that Mr. Alexis has strong ties to his community and would like to branch out and start his own venture in this business. He's been working in the auto industry for decades and has multitude of areas of experience in business and, you know, the auto industry. He's created a good relationship with the current owner of the lot he's seeking to lease, and he's very eager to bring a business to your town and set up shop. All of, as I said before, the Corey does warrant scrutiny, but we'd like to also just let the board know that he's here because he does have good moral character. He does have, he does not have any convictions or does not have any felony convictions. He does not have any fraudulent theft related crimes. He's a very respected businessman, and he would like to get into, get into Milford and begin working. And also just to state that to focus more so on now, as Corey has charges from over 10 years. And I believe that we should all recognize the rehabilitation or just the change from then to now. He has not been a person to go to jail or a person to deceive others. And we ask you and we ask you, Mr. Villani, even the chief, to recognize the gap in the years of those charges and evidence that he is stable because of the documents in his application, the evidence that he has good character. I believe he has 2 letters of recommendation for you, one from his pastor and from the current owner. His education, he went to school for business and he wants to continue using what he's learned to create a good business so he can raise his children. And the amazing things that will come to your community as well. He's young, he's ready to work, he's eager, he's happy, he's very excited to, bring good business and bring great things to your community. So he has a business plan, and everything he has currently is just based on the integrity of business. And we would love to assure you that he will comply with anything needed from the board or anything further that they would request from us.
Okay, thank you. Chief Tassino.
Yeah, so, Counselor, hello, good to talk to you again.
Hi, nice to see you.
Hi. Good to see, well, I can see your picture, but I can hear you. So, yeah, Town Administrator and I, met with council, and, I'll say this about the system that we have in place in Milford when it comes to people applying for permits. The system works, okay? Because when it goes through different agencies, we have to sign off. We have to do our due diligence.
Right.
So the initial disapproval that I have with this, and I think the applicant, and if I say this, Delson Alexis, am I pronouncing that correct, Counselor?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so the applicant, did the right thing, hired counsel. The counsel came in to explain these incidents on the criminal background check that I did. So that caused me to do an even deeper dive, me and Mr. Villani. And, at first glance, like anything, things don't pan out the way they look, or they look better than they did, or vice versa. And in this case, I tend to agree with counsel. I thought we were going to have another more conclusive meeting, her and I, to go over this again. Counsel, did I misunderstand that? And I think
no, I had a trial. You did not misunderstand it. It's my fault. I had a trial. So I apologize. Okay. So no, you were not.
No. My fault. Not at all. But, and she was patient enough and diligent enough and really worked hard on his behalf and went through each thing with me and had an explanation and things. So honestly, I don't have a problem moving forward with this applicant and letting him start this business. But again, we're just talking about what's on his criminal record and the explanation to me, right? So the two things are totally separate than an approval from the board. My position in this is if there's a Corey issue, and counsel did a great job of explaining things. I was hoping, and I know Rick agrees with me, that we were going to get to meet again, because in the interim, I've obtained police records, I've contacted agencies that are on the criminal record for these incidents that happened. And, she's right with the vehicle that the gentleman bought. He bought a vehicle, he's leaving repair plates, and the police stop him. And the vehicle's stolen, and the plates were stolen, but that had nothing to do with him. But he was left holding the bag. And that's not to vilify the police, because I would have done the same thing.
Sure.
When someone says, oh, I just bought it, I got it from a friend, how many times have we heard that story? 1 million. Well, in this case, he did get it from somebody, and it wasn't his shortcoming. And the other thing, with the utterance of a check, as counsel mentioned, that was a check that he was, middling. It wasn't a check like he wrote the bad check. I think there's intent. But unfortunately, when you read the charge, the appearance is that he wrote the check, and he was the one creating deceit. And that's not the case, even though he was involved in these cases. You know what I mean? He wasn't the catalyst for any of these things. And the other things, the other shortcoming things, you know, they, like counsel said, they're over 10 years ago. And, you know, it's not like he, you know, his alleged incidents were so egregious. You know, they weren't. So, you know, after talking to counsel, again, you know, I want to be honest, I thought we were going to be able to talk again, and I would have liked to have gone over these things with her a little more, but I don't really see the reason to not let him move forward on the Corey side.
Chief, I know you went and received the documents because we couldn't get them on mass courts.
Right, yeah.
And he's presently on pretrial probation, a couple more days.
Yep.
That, when you were talking about the stolen vehicle, is that the case?
Yeah. It's
The Dedham case.
It's a Dedham case. Counsel, and that's supposed to be dismissed. That was actually from, if I remember my notes.
Will be
Yes.
in 2 days.
So that case should be closed and dismissed. He did the community service, I believe, within the same 48 hours, 24 hours. So that
Not for
case,
another 2 days. Counsel.
that is.
Just so
say
you
that
know,
one-
off of mass court says it is 12/10/25. So it'll be dismissed on Wednesday.
Okay. So for my,
No, just, I
to
just
be
wanna know
honest, with you, as I represented correctly, I was told it was closed already. So my apologies for that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you know,
It's only 2 days. I just want to know the underlying facts.
yeah, and that's, you know, that's kind of where I'm at with it, you know, and I apologize to the board. I didn't even know we were meeting tonight. It was a pretty busy day today.
Yeah.
A lot going on, so.
Yeah, no problem at all.
I thought we were going to meet.
Mr. Chair, can I ask the chief a question?
Sorry?
Can I ask the chief?
No, most certainly.
Chief, so, looking at the initial department heads review, which is what select board usually
What I was
goes
talking
on,
about, yep.
to get the information from various boards and concerns. And I know the police chief, we take a lot of credence in that, because like I said, you're there to, you know, it's not just about opinion, it's about protecting.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so where you put disapproved, would you change that to approve?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah. And like I said, the process typically is, this goes back to the town administrator. He reaches out to the applicant.
Right.
Very few and far between does the applicant hire an attorney to come in and break this down, to explain it, because it's not up to me to explain what's on your court.
Right.
I know that seems kind of, you know, end of the road, but that's the fact of it.
And for the average person, it's pretty difficult to explain.
Well, for the average person, it's pretty difficult to explain. So, you know, the attorney came in, spoke with us, the town administrator came to my office, and we spent some time, and line by line, we went over each thing with an explanation. Like I said, the only thing is I thought we were going to have another meeting with her, and that was going to give me time to get all the...
Sorry.
That's all right. No, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't me remembering incorrectly.
No, it wasn't. I'm sorry. I'll send you some flowers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
You were so persuasive, he didn't think that you...
I didn't forget him. I did it. I'm sorry.
With the stipulation that they meet with the chief.
No reason for that.
There's no need to if they've just gone through everything.
Go ahead, Rick.
Richard, go ahead.
Well, thank you. I don't have a question. I just want to state that the initial application came in. The chief obviously had some concerns. I reached out to the applicant because I did not want to schedule with him coming in and having to try to defend himself from the concerns of the chief. I did speak with the gentleman. He was well-spoken, quiet. So the issue I had is I wanted him, and I recommended he try to get counsel given the concerns. I have done this on other occasions, more specifically dealing with job interviews, where I don't want to not hire someone, but if there are query concerns on a query that I did, then I want to at least give the applicant or the job applicant an opportunity to discuss them. So that's why I did what I did. I was trying to help the young man and not hurt the young man. And that's why when they asked to move it to the 8th, that seemed logical too, since we had other business to do. So the only reason I delayed this, because I just thought for him to come in would not make a good deal of sense on his behalf. So again, the chief and I have a good working relationship. We did meet with Attorney Rogers. She was very professional, and I appreciate meeting with her, and I appreciate the opportunity. I too did think we were going to meet again, so I was a little confused. But again, I understand from years ago, trial work, etc. So that's all I want to say on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Let me first,
Thank
the
you,
building
Rick.
commissioner. The building commissioner indicates that it's an allowable use in a CB zone. Group B use occupancy, building is not accessible. Special permit runs with the land. The applicant must adhere to the approved site plan and conditions for both documents. So, council, he may want to have you take a look at the site plan and the conditions, just to ensure that he's compliant. Town
Yes.
treasurer collector said there are no issues. Fire chief, no objections. The police chief has now suggested approval. The Board of Health does not have an interest in being involved because it doesn't fall within their realm. Do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'll make a motion that we approve the application for HD Freedom Automotive LLC for a Class 2 license at 269 Main Street.
And I would second that, Mr. Chairman.
And that is unanimous. Thank you, Attorney Rogers. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you
You were
very much.
persuasive.
Thank you, Chief.
You didn't have to come back for a second.
Thank you, counsel. Good
I'm
talking
going to come back. I missed him.
That's all right.
Not too many
okay.
people
Thank
say
you,
that.
Mr. Villani. Everyone have a happy holiday. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
See ya.
Take care. Merry Christmas.
Next item on the agenda is Winston Hospitality LLC DBA Rail Trail Flatbread Company, an amendment to the common victular all alcoholic beverages license relative to live entertainment. Any questions, gentlemen? Rick, is this something that we're doing?
Yes, no one is going to appear. It's a simple amendment to add live entertainment.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, the only question I have, maybe for you, Rick and Michael, is that usually when they have this, there's also a date, the days and the times that they're going to be doing this, you know what I mean? And there isn't any. And if you look at the last page where it usually is done, all I see is live music. I don't see, like maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday from 5 to 9 p.m. or anything like that.
Correct.
I just don't want to give a blanket approval and then come to find out they're playing live entertainment 24 hours.
Well, they
yeah,
still have to comply with the hours. They can't do it 24 hours a day.
Right, right.
Oh, the hours of the business.
Correct.
They're just the hours of the business are there, but not the hours of the entertainment.
But the entertainment would have to
That would-
comply with the hours of the business.
So they could have entertainment at 11:30 in the morning?
Sunday, right?
11:30 to 9 p.m. to 9:30 p.m.
I mean, if the board wants to reschedule it, I can try to get more definitive information if you like.
It's up to you guys. What do you guys want?
Look,
And like I say,
if you're not comfortable, then.
yeah, I am. For the simple reason, this is the hours that they're open.
Right.
From morning until night.
Correct. Rick, we'll table it for the 22nd.
Yep.
Sure. I'll reach out to them. Yeah, they're pretty cooperative.
Thank you, Rick.
Next item is the Milford Commission on Disability, a resignation.
Yeah.
Rhonda Crosby is informing us the intention to resign from the commission.
Yeah.
Effective immediately, and that was back on November 18th. She's very appreciative of the opportunity to serve on the commission for 8 years, and that It was an opportunity to give back to the community as well as people with disabilities. And Rick, if we could, well, we'll do a motion first.
A motion, Mr. Chair, to approve, to accept the resignation from Rhonda Crosby in appreciation for her 8 years of service that she has given the Commission on Disability. Very commendable. Thank you.
Before I second that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to also add that I've worked in the past with the commission, and Rhonda, a very respected member of that board, and I personally would like to say thank you to her for her 8 years of service to this community and to the people with disabilities. And I would second that motion.
And that is unanimous. Rhonda, thank you very much participating and helping others. And Rick will send her a thank you.
Absolutely, yes.
On the board. Thank you very much. Next item is the town administrator, the award of a contract for steer treads at the police station.
Yes, we did a request for quotes. Three prospective bidders were sent the same quotation. We did receive two quotes. You can see they're very close, but the lower of the two was LR General Construction Company. So based on that, we have worked with both vendors before, so they're both very solid vendors. The recommendation is to award to LR General.
Motion, Mr. Chair, to move the Select Board approve the award of contract to LR General Construction at 151 South Main Street, Bedford, Mass.
Milford.
I'm sorry, Milford, Mass. And I put also a Milford-based firm to install steer treads at the Milford Police Station.
I would second that, Mr. Chairman.
And that bid is for $36,550.
Right.
That is
Yes.
unanimous. Next item is Temple Beth Shalom. It's the lighting of the menorah.
One thing before that, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry, this one.
Yeah.
Sorry, Milford School Building Committee appointment to
Yeah.
designer selection panel.
The next step in the process is to appoint, there's a number of people that are on the designer selection panel. This board has the opportunity to choose one person to serve on that committee. It's a 13-member committee, I believe. My recommendation, if he is willing, would be Mr. Walsh. But if he is not and not able to, then I certainly would do it. He and I are both on the Milford High School Building Committee, so I certainly don't want to usurp Mike Yu. So if you're interested and the board is so inclined, that would be fine.
Sure, I'd be honored to do it.
A motion, Mr. Chair, then to appoint Select Board Member Michael Walsh,
I second that.
designer selection panel.
I second that. That's unanimous. Invitation to speak. Do not see anyone in the audience. Is there anyone online, Chris? There's no one, invitation to speak. Now with correspondence, Temple Beth Shalom, and they're informing us the lighting of the menorah will be on December 15th at 5 p.m. in Draper Park, and the public is invited. And a lot of chocolates and a lot of dreidels. Again, that's December 15th, 5 p.m.
Yeah.
at Draper Park, right across the street from the police station. The next item is executive session. We are going to have an executive session, and we will not be returning into regular session at the conclusion of the executive session. Do I have a motion to go into, the executive session is the Town of Milford versus OMR Architects, Inc., WISS Janney Elsner Associates, Inc., Worcester Superior Court Civil Action Number 2185-CV-00748 to receive attorney-client communication or legal advice regarding reasonably anticipated litigation or legal issues, the disclosure of which would compromise the town's position. The second item is Michael A. Bighetti versus the Town of Milford et al., Worcester Superior Court Civil Action Number 2385-CV-01203 to receive attorney-client communication of legal advice regarding reasonably anticipated litigation or legal issues, the disclosure of which would compromise the town's position. Do I have a motion?
A motion, Mr. Chair, to go into executive session.
I would second that, Mr. Chairman.
And that's unanimous. Roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we are in executive session. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. We will see you before the Christmas holiday. Otherwise, happy holidays to everyone, and we'll see you on December 22nd. Thank you for tuning in or participating. Have a great evening.